Hi there, welcome. I'm Will. Have you ever had a job? Maybe you were paid for babysitting or taking care of a neighbor's pet. Imagine how you would feel if you were paid more than you deserved. That's what happened to some workers in a story that Jesus told. Let's watch.
One day, Jesus told a story about some men who work in a vineyard. A vineyard is like a farm where grapes grow. Jesus said, "This is what the kingdom of heaven is like. A man who owned a vineyard went out early in the morning and hired some workers. He told the workers that he would pay them each 1 denarius. A denarius was a silver coin worth 1 day's work. So the workers went to the vineyard. Then Jesus said, a few hours later, around 9 in the morning, the landowner went out again. He saw some men standing in the marketplace. They did not have any work to do. So the landowner said, 'You can work in my vineyard too, and I will pay you what is right.' So these men went to the vineyard to work. The landowner went out 3 more times, a few hours apart. Around noon and around 3 o'clock, he hired more men who did not have jobs to do. These men went to his vineyard to work. At 5 o'clock, the landowner found more men standing around. 'Why have you been standing here all day doing nothing?' the landowner asked. 'Because no one hired us,' they said. So the landowner invited the men to work in his vineyard. At the end of the day, the landowner told the man in charge of the workers to call them together and pay them, starting with the workers who arrived last and ending with the workers who started early in the morning. The men who were hired around 5 o'clock came to be paid, and they each received 1 denarius. The men who had been hired early in the morning saw what those workers received, so they expected to be paid more. But when it was their turn to be paid, they also received 1 denarius. 'These men have only been working for 1 hour, and you paid them the same as us,' they complained to the landowner. 'We've been working all day in the heat.' The landowner said to one of them, 'Friend, I have been fair with you. You agreed to work for 1 denarius, right? Take your pay and go. I want to give this last worker the same as I gave you. I can do what I want with my own money. Are you jealous because I am generous?' Jesus ended his story by explaining, 'So those who are last now will be first, and those who are first now will be last.'" Jesus' parable teaches about God's grace. God is generous, and he loves us. We deserve to die for our sins, but God gives us what we don't deserve: salvation through his Son, Jesus.
The landowner was generous. He gave the first workers what was fair, and he gave the rest of the workers the same, which was more than they deserved. God is like that. We deserve to die for our sins, but God gives us what we don't deserve: salvation through his Son, Jesus. See you next time.